Happy Halloween, everybody. Welcome back to Cure for the Common Game. Today, we're going to talk about Cloudhoof Kirin. Not, I, I wanted to build a Halloween deck, but I didn't feel like I could do it without All Hallows Eve. And I hadn't price checked that card in like 15 years. And when I did, I was like, whoa, it's well over a couple $100 now. So I said, well, and I think it may like seasonally spike. But anyway, so this is one of those lost 10 decks. And no, actually, it's not. I had this one. Anyway, Spirits is as close as I can get Tribal Spirits for this Halloween deck. Even though it is mono blue, it's not what you tend to think. But anyway, this deck didn't start off with Cloudhoof Kirin. I actually, whenever you play a Spirit or Arcane spell, you can mill the top X cards of player's library, where X is that spell's CMC. Okay, this was an after the fact. The card that really got my attention come in M19. We got the Supreme Phantom. And as soon as I saw it, I went, you know what, there's something here. And I thought, well, Kamigawa had all that spirit matter stuff. And the general has a kind of a milling theme. And it's a spirit. And, crazy Kamigawa did all this spirit arcane stuff. So, mono blue spirits. And then if we go a little further back to Innistrad, we find the other spirits get plus to the front. It's 5 mana, but it is a 3/3 flyer. Flying is kind of the sub-arcing theme of the deck. Most of our dudes fly, and it is ridiculous how many there are or have other evasion mechanics. So let's get to the actual creatures while we're already started. Now, Mausoleum Wanderer gets temporarily large. Yeah, it's probably going to get +1 because it ain't like we're storming out a whole bunch of spirits in one turn. Although, I guess in theory we could with tokens. But anyway, we got Rattle Chains. I love that spirits have flash. That's kind of good. Now, continuing on with the creatures, we have Drift of Phantasms that I don't know. I played with this card since it came out in Ravnica City of Guilds. I'm trying to adjust my camera. I'm sorry. But I don't know that I've ever cast it as a creature. This is more or less a tutor. Now, what's it going to tutor for? We might actually end up playing this as a blocker because, as I see here, there's not many cards that it can go get. But anyway, it's a spirit. It's a tutor. If you need that long-forgotten Gohi, I guess that's the thing. We're going to blow through some of these because some of them are the Glass Kite series. Now, Kira Glassspinner would be amazing. She has since gotten expensive. I need to actually pick one up for her own deck because she does amazing stuff. But there are a lot of tiers of lower Glass Kites, if you will, the blue spirits. Now, Tower Guide, and these are in no particular order, obviously. It's card selection. I mean, yeah, it's card draw, but Sire of the Storm. Whenever you play a spirit, draw a card. I say a spirit, ignoring that arcane part, because we ain't got a whole lot of arcane stuff. Do we have any? I think I see 4 here. There may be more. So, it's mainly spirits. Play a spirit, draw a card. That kind of goes with our card draw package, I guess. Wind Spirit. We originally got this Joker in Ice Age. Flying, and it has to be double blocked. Soul Seizer. Of course, Soul Seizer flips over into the control magic. Storm Rider Spirit. It just has flash and flying. Wayward Soul. Flying. And you can save it from a removal spell by just spending that blue mana and putting it on top of your library. Dungeon Geist. Shimmering Glass Kite. I like Teller of Tales. Play a spirit. Tap or untap a creature. So, yeah, flying is... I was listening to a podcast today, I can't remember which one it was, that flying is good. Don't get me wrong. And most of the time, creatures either have flying or they don't. That's just, I mean, ooh, Brian can't imagine the obvious. But it's not exactly 50-50 in Commander because we all place a premium on flyers. I mean, the dang format's called Elder Dragon Highlander, and the affinity for dragons and angels especially is more times than not. How many times per game it says, hey, you got any flying blockers? You got any flyers? That's when you know you're about to die if you don't. But flying is good, but it's so much more common in our format than any other format because we don't have that super aggro turn 2, all the time. Yeah, sometimes, but this is it can help tap down those other flying creatures that are, going to be blockers. And it gives your newly cast summoning sick creature some kind of benefit when it comes into play. I like it. Niblis of the Frost. I put an extra I in there. Niblis of the Frost. Prowess. Like I said, I don't know that. I mean, I guess we could go nuts with some prowess stuff. But Cloud Spirit. Now that guy's pretty aggressive. 3 mana for a 3-power flyer. Hunted Phantasm. Doesn't have flying. He's just flat out unblockable. And really, for 3 mana for a 4/6 unblockable, this is not bad. Yeah, somebody gets 5/1/1 gobos, but in 1v1 playing, those gobos are coming at you. You don't always know that in Commander. You're probably going to politically pass them out to the guy that needs blockers for somebody else so that you can earn some, I don't know, political friendship points later. We've got the Stormbound Geist. It can only block flyers, which, it's not a problem because odds are in this deck we're not blocking. We're blue aggro, blue skies, just getting in there, dealing that damage. Not wanting the wrath in any way, form, or fashion. Nibbles of Dusk. Lantern Spirit. Tattered Haunter. Fogwalker. It doesn't have, it's not really unblockable or flying, but it does have the Skulk. Departed Deckhand, I almost didn't put in. It's ooh, calm down, Brian. But it can't be blocked except by spirits, so that was close enough for me. Now, Shriek Geist, Guardian of Solitude. Like the Guardian of Solitude, you can pass out flying to something. So, not, incredibly useful. We do have a couple creatures that don't fly, like, the Skulk guys or the whatever. I don't know. Maybe we can do this politically and make other people's fly. Sure. Although it seems like it's just not going to happen a whole lot. Shapesharer is a spirit that doesn't have flying. It's kind of cheaty face. Now, it's target creature until your next turn, so you can copy your opponent's stuff, and it's 3 mana for that. You've got it just lasts till end of turn. You've got a 2 mana investment in the card, and then a 3 mana in the ability, so a total of 5 to make it something decent. So, Nebelgast Herald. Or another spirit, tap target creature. Now, Ghost Ship is not the last spirit, but wow. So old it causes the fuzz to happen. In the dark, we got Ghost Ship. And for a time, you can see Ship was a creature type. Can you believe that? It's now a spirit. Flies, it regenerates, it's a 2/4. It is not probably good by any means. But I've got it in here because it's old. I love the dark. And the regeneration kind of matters now. Because it's been a while, but you hated all the removal, just hated on regeneration. And then R&D was like, is regeneration that big of a problem that we need to hate it out? So they kind of stopped doing it. And then a few years later, they just stopped using Regenerate. So now all the new Blow Up the World spells doesn't even address the regeneration thing because that doesn't exist anymore in standard. So the regeneration matters, from Day of Judgment or whatever. A lot of the board wipes nowadays you can regenerate from. Of course, there's still no replacement for Wrath. But the last spirit I've got is, of course, the Unspeakable. Yeah, 9 mana, 6/7 flying trampling, but y'all know ideally we're not going to be paying 9 because we already have an incentive to play arcane spells. And there are 3 arcane spells that we probably need to show. And they are the 1-2-3 punch. They are all instant arcanes. We have Reach Through the Mist that's just replaces itself. It's just going to draw a card. It is an arcane spell for all those arcane spell triggers. So it's a little more than draw a card. I guess if our commander's out, it's draw a card, mill a card. But, I mean, that's not amazing. But it's something. Peer Through the Depths. Arcane instant. You get the instant or sorcery. Now, the third one is the one that matters. You draw 2, discard a card, and if you played all 3 of these spells in the same turn, you get to search your library for the Unspeakable and smack him onto the board. Now, these 4 cards were printed together in that same set, and I thought it was cute at the time. This is the first time. When was this card printed? 2004? Yeah. This is the first time in 14 years that I've ever put all 4 cards in the deck. I've played the Unspeakable in like a crazy Reanimator deal at some point that it cost 9 mana. I remember playing it in a casting cost 9 deck. The Nullstone Gargoyle and all that crazy jazz. Yeah, I'm crazy enough to do stuff like that. But anyway, they were instants, they were arcanes. It worked with the spirit. I figured, why not? I haven't done it before. Okay. Let's look at, it's not a whole lot of ramp. We have the Armillary Sphere to go ahead and get a couple islands. Everflowing Chalice, yes, we're going to kick it. You may have seen in the comments, I didn't kick a Chalice last week, or earlier this week, mainly because it was in a Warp World deck, and I knew it was just down there for being a permanent, and that's why I didn't kick the Chalice. Soul Ring, and everybody's favorite, High Tide. I mean, it's mono blue. We have mostly basic islands. High Tide, not leaving home without it. Now, Team Pump, of course, we got our long-forgotten Gohi. This represents the rare out of the only pack from that master set I bought. I bought them at, I was like, okay, we'll give it a shot. I'll buy 1 pack. We'll play the lottery. Opened up a long-forgotten Gohi, which is, 20, 30 cents? Anyway, I was like, that's my 1 pack. But our arcane spells are cheaper, which is not a lot. But more importantly, our spirits get +1/+1. Favorable Winds is going to work with the vast majority of the deck to kind of get out there, keeping with that aggro, team pumping thing. Sunken City, here again, from the dark. Yeah, it sucks having to play the blue, but they can't have anything as good as white. Because that's kind of white's forte. That's not... Nowadays, it's not, to get this effect in blue, you tack it on a creature, and it's 4 mana, the Paragon, or what have you. Obelisk of Erd, of course, spirits. Now let's look at some card draw. Distant Melody, we're going to draw a card for each spirit. Ribbons of the, whatever that word is, we're going to draw a card for each spirit. Same card, costs 1 more. It's arcane. I guess that's the arcane tax. I don't know. It seemed like all the arcane cards back then cost 1 mana too much. Or they were sorceries when they should have been instant. Anyway. Maybe we'll fix that if they ever go back to Kamigawa. I doubt they will. And Flow of Ideas. We just keep going up in mana cost here. 6 mana for each island you control. Pretty neat. Our big-time removal package of Sleep and Echoing Truth. Period. End of story. We're just more or less the echoing truth is in there for the token strategy. Yeah, it's a good instant, but it's to prevent the token madness. Yeah, that's not a lot, and I'm not going to pretend that this is a a competitive deck because it's not what actually probably none of my decks are. I play for fun, I build for fun. Y'all know that, but there are some things that can squash our fun, like board wipes, and so we have got, I guess, Blue's form of removal: negate, dissipate, counterspell, dissolve, squelch. Look at that, squelch. The reason why I'm running squelch is because nobody else runs it. This is the card that nobody sees coming. Uh, Activated ability. There's how many thousands of cards with activated abilities? And I mean, odds are if your opponent wants to do it, you don't want it to happen, but it's amazing. Oh, no, you're not going to Mindslaver me. You're just going to sack that Mindslaver and put it in the graveyard. Yep. Or whatever. I like it. And then, of course, we have Geist Snatch, Counterspell, get a Spirit. I feel like this would have been arcane if it was printed in the Kamigawa block. As a matter of fact, I'm almost certain of it. Now, that's it for the Spirit, blue aggro thing. But we can't forget our commander here. Our commander is milling. So obviously, with any milling strategy, we're going to start off with a Turmoil's Crypt because the last thing we want is to fill up a dredge graveyard or a zombie graveyard, because it's just another resource. So Turmoil's Crypt solves that problem. We are playing with several creatures, and in the event we don't have that counter for the board wipe, we can just sack them all to the altar of Dementia and just get mill happy against the person who cast that wrath. Now, Mind Crank, I was wrong about this for a long time. I was thinking this was instead. No, it's in addition. So they lose the life and mill the cards. That's beautiful for 2 mana. I mean, in this style deck where you're trying to pretty much the mill is your backup strategy. I figure we can probably come out quick and maybe eliminate one player at the table if we're lucky, and then you've got to find a way to recoup post wrath or whatever, and you can just mill out people. Of course, any kind of mill strategy, we got to have the super mill card of all. Traumatize. I'm not playing what's the combo enchantment card? Y'all know what I'm talking about. At the end of the turn, mill how many cards you mill, or we'll put in your graveyard, or whatever. That's, God, it seems like that always happens to me. But Dampen Thoughts is in there simply because it is a mill card and it is arcane. It'll trigger the arcane. It does have that crazy splice into arcane, which this is the only splice into arcane card in the deck. I'm glad it's represented, but the splicing of the arcane is just weird. Drown Secrets. I feel like we're going to be casting a blue spell or two, so this is not bad. And it's a target player. You don't have to target the player when it's not dead if it's not like when you play it, you have to target the player. It triggers each time it triggers. You choose the target. So, and of course, we have the milling spirit itself, Dreamborn Muse. Now, let's look at other miscellaneous cards. Now, with the Dreamborn Muse, now that's each player, so you're going to be doing it too. Which, if we're to this point where we're thinking about playing a 4-mana 2/2 that doesn't fly and doesn't have evasion and its sole purpose is just milling, then we probably don't care that we're milling ourselves. But in the event that we do, there's a couple cards that work well with Dream Muse. Of course, we want our Elixir of Immortality to get our junt back, and we want to keep cards in our hand, all spellbook. Now, Essence Flux is just another just random trick. You know, a spirit trick. Saves one of your dudes from the removal spell. And Deluge. Tap everything that doesn't fly. It's an instant that I love it, love it, love it. You can, you know, there's so many ways before they go to their combat step. If you know they've got lethal on board, you just, hey, tap out. Or at the end of the person who goes right before you, and, you know, what have you. There's a lot of options here, but it's really good, especially with a lot of flying deck. Now, I'm only playing 2 non-basic lands. You guessed it. One of them is the Rogue's Passage. I actually thought hard about playing the blue cycle lands because there's what, like, I don't know, 50 of them now. But yeah, we don't have, I mean, the card draw that we have is massive card draw. It's mini cards. It's not 1 or 2, but we've got some of those small ones that do that. But I felt like we needed the islands more for the high tide, because maybe you get that speed boost or whatever if we ever have to hard cast the Unspeakable. And then I have, of course, Ponderland. Ponderland's good. What can I say? And that is what I have got for the Cloudhoof Kirin. Crosses off another one of the monster list of Kamigawa. I think there was, I'm pretty sure there's over 100 in that block. I know there's 50-something in Champions. But anyway, it's what I've got for Cloudhoof Kirin. It's mono blue, aggro, blue skies, kind of milling, you know. We're box checking here with this one. I do appreciate you watching. Be safe out there. Y'all let me know what you think. But right now, I think we're going to shuffle and cut.